What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. BlizzConline gave us a ton of new information for Overwatch 2, but beyond just all the major details and content revealed in the major panels and interviews, there were a number of smaller Easter egg-like teasers and tidbits shown off, which you most likely overlooked if you were just paying attention to the main content. So in this video, I'm going to cover a number of these smaller details you might have missed, including even more Overwatch 2 hero designs, a near-complete kit and abilities for Sojourn, and even a sneak peek at the in-game model for the Junker Queen. Be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe and hit that bell icon to never miss out on any of my future Overwatch content. But now let's check out some of the little details from BlizzConline that you might have missed. So first up, we have new hero designs. BlizzConline showed off a total of 9 new hero designs for existing Overwatch heroes, with 4 of them being the main ones for Reaper, Widowmaker, McCree, and Pharah, which were heavily spotlighted and shown in great detail. But aside from these 4, there were still 5 others which we only saw as sort of teasers in the background that Blizzard never specifically acknowledged. 2 of these I am pretty sure you noticed, being Soldier 76's, which we can see on his hero talents tree page, and also the in-game model for Bastion's new skin, which we actually originally got a look at all the way back at BlizzCon 2019 in this one concept image, but now we can see this new skin's actual in-game 3D model being used in many of the gameplay and story clips they showed during BlizzConline. But even beyond these 2 bonus designs for Soldier 76 and Bastion, there were 3 more very small sneak peeks at what appear to be the hero designs for Baptiste, Moira, and part of Sombra. Baptiste we can see very briefly in this clip here where Reinhardt is charging through a bunch of enemy players, and we can see Baptiste being knocked up into the air, but he's definitely wearing a rather different outfit from what he normally has in Overwatch 1. Most noticeably, we can see that much of his outfit has taken on a white color scheme, and on top of that, his hair appears to have grown taller? It looks like Blizzard at the very least is experimenting with a different look for Baptiste here with a completely different hairstyle, but given the overall sort of untextured look of it, I get the impression that this could very easily be a work-in-progress hero redesign for him, and that might be the reason we only see it in this one brief clip and Blizzard never spotlighted it like they did with many of the other hero skins so far. But if you thought Baptiste's skin was easy to miss, Moira's we get an even briefer glimpse at in this clip here on the new Rome map. We honestly only get a few brief, blurry frames of what appears to be a new Moira skin, where we can see the design of her outfit having changed a good bit, including what appears to be bigger, thicker eyebrows at the top of her face. I'm not entirely sure what those are supposed to be. They might be some sort of tech component that she has just sort of built onto her body, or maybe she does just have super big eyebrows in Overwatch 2. Like the Baptiste skin, I wouldn't be surprised if this model we see here is in fact a work-in-progress design for her, and certainly the handful of frames and low resolution we actually get of this image doesn't do her any favors, but based on the little bit we see here, it does look like this could be her new design in Overwatch 2. And last for the new hero designs, we have an even slimmer glimpse at the weapon, which we can assume is going to be for the new Sombra design. Now, unless you actually play a lot of Sombra, you might not even notice at first that this weapon is different from what she currently has in Overwatch 1, but when taking this image and putting it side by side with her current in-game model, we can see that the weapon and hand itself are most certainly different. Sombra's hand has a lighter blue color to it and appears to be a more uniform glove going up her arm, and the weapon itself has had a number of minor changes, particularly with the addition of this purple part on the back of the weapon itself, as well as some different detailing on the side. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the bulk of Sombra's outfit here, it's just the gun in her hand, but it is an interesting little detail that is pretty easy to miss on just your first time watching the panel. Moving on though to perhaps the most interesting leaked or subtly teased tidbit we got, we have what appears to be a partial in-game model for the Junker Queen. During the part of the panel where Blizzard was showcasing some of the new PvE enemies we'd be facing, we get this short clip here of one of the enemies moving through a room filled with a number of different existing in-game models. For example, we have Tracer's model over here on the left, and what appears to be one of the Temple of Anubis ships in the background. However, in addition to these recognizable items, we can see what appears to be a partially rendered version of a character over here on the left. Now, at first glance, it's hard to even recognize that this is supposed to be a character, as we can see that evidently only their arms and some type of item beneath them has actually been rendered. But upon closer inspection, we can see that at least the arm on the left appears to be a mostly uncovered human arm with what appears to be fingerless gloves on the hand. My first thought was that it looks similar to Junkrat's arms, however you can tell that it certainly isn't Junkrat's because this character's right arm is fully flesh still, whereas Junkrat's right arm is mostly prosthetic. Therefore, this character we see here is most definitely not Junkrat, but they do seem to have a rather Junker vibe to them. So does that mean that it instead could be the Junker Queen? Perhaps the biggest giveaway that the Junker Queen is in fact this character we see here is actually the item located beneath them. At first glance, again, it's hard to tell what exactly you're looking at here, but upon close examination, this actually seems to match perfectly with the images we've seen so far of the Junker Queen's axe. The orientation of it here in this clip is a bit strange, as from what we can tell, it's sitting perfectly upright, and the bottom half of it is actually clipping into the ground. But given that the character, or at least what's rendered of the character, appears to be in a T-pose position, this is actually something we've seen the weapons of existing Overwatch heroes do when either their rigging breaks or they aren't properly loaded into the game. For example, here's a clip of Brigitte where her mace is stuck in the ground, pretty similarly to what we see with the axe for this character here. In addition to that, looking at the arms specifically, the fingerless gloves seem to match with the gloves the Junker Queen is seen wearing in multiple different images of her. Overall, it is tough to say for sure that this is in fact the Junker Queen, but based on these little details we can pick out, it seems like she is at the very least a very likely candidate. And when you consider that, in addition to the fact that the Junker Queen is a huge fan favorite possible hero, with the Overwatch devs themselves having teased her on multiple different occasions, I wouldn't be surprised if this partially rendered model here was actually intentionally snuck in by the devs in order to get people excited. If I had to hazard a guess as for what exactly it is we're looking at here, I'd say it's most likely the Junker Queen's first-person viewer model, since when you're playing as a given hero, for most characters you really only need to actually see their arms and weapons. So if Blizzard did want to tease the Junker Queen in this specific way, it makes sense that they would have loaded in this specific model, as loading in the full body of the character would have been a dead giveaway for who the hero is. It's a rather curious find regardless, and I'm definitely interested in hearing your thoughts on whether or not you think this is in fact the Junker Queen, so be sure to let me know in the comments down below. The next little detail you might have missed from BlizzConline is this little indicator here, which seems to be hinting at a clan or guild system for Overwatch 2. At the top right of this image of Junkrat's talent tree, we can see the user's name with text beneath it that appears to read Clan C9. Now, perhaps most interesting regarding this detail is that in every other image we got of hero talent trees like this throughout the entirety of BlizzConline, all had this specific text blurred out. This one image, which was posted on the official Overwatch blog, is the only image where the blur doesn't exist, and we can actually see the text that's written there. Now, given that the text reads Clan C9, it could very easily be the case that this is indicating some sort of guild system, which is actually something Blizzard has talked about working on in the past, but so far we have yet to actually see them add any sort of feature like this to Overwatch. Also, while I'm on this image here real quick, I would like to point out that it does actually show us one more of Junkrat's talents, which is winner take all. Multi-kills trigger 10, 20, 30% of max health to regenerate over 5 seconds. If you haven't seen it already, I actually did a video previous to this one where I covered every single new talent shown off in Overwatch 2's panel at BlizzConline. This talent here was unfortunately the one I forgot to include in that video, but I do still recommend that you check out that video because there are a lot of really interesting abilities characters are going to be getting in Overwatch's sequel. And the last major thing I want to cover that you might have missed about Overwatch 2 in the BlizzConline panel is all the little details regarding the new hero Sojourn, including her kit and abilities. Now, in one of my earlier videos, I mentioned that we didn't actually get to see a whole lot of Sojourn, just a little bit of gameplay, but upon further examination of these limited clips, we actually do get quite a bit of context for how this character is going to work and what sort of abilities she's actually going to end up having. So starting off, we can see Sojourn's main weapon appears to be some sort of energy assault rifle that fires out quick-moving projectiles. As this weapon deals damage to enemies and barriers, we can see it increasing what appears to be a charge meter in the center of the user's screen, which is what allows her to use her alternate fire, which is the railgun. Now, based on the clips we see here, it seems that the railgun can be fired so long as you have at least one energy charge visible on the screen, but the railgun alternate fire evidently deals more damage based on how much charge you have. So in a way, you could liken it to Zarya's energy, where the more damage she takes, the more damage she's capable of dealing out. However, one of the main ways Sojourn's weapon seems to differ here is that firing the railgun consumes all of the charge you currently have. This means if you want to get a higher powered charge, you have to keep dealing damage with her primary fire and not use the railgun until you hit 100 charge, at which point you'll be able to deal the most damage possible with a single firing of the railgun. Now, beyond her primary and alternate fire, her first activated ability, which in this case is the shift ability, appears to be a power slide, which we don't actually ever see her using in any of the gameplay clips, but we do see her performing this slide ability in one of the concept art images of Sojourn they showed off at BlizzConline, in addition to one of the animations that are presumably her highlight intros that were shown off back at BlizzCon 2019. It seems pretty safe to say that the shift ability is in fact this super slide, power slide, whatever you want to call it, as the in-game icon we can see here definitely looks like it's a slide-based ability since you have these sort of half arrows going across the ground. However, it is yet to be seen whether this ability is purely a mobility tool or if it has some other sort of utility effect where maybe she can slide into enemies to damage them or do something else that in some way benefits or assists with the rest of her kit. Moving on to her E ability though, this is the one aspect of her kit which we really don't get to see utilized at all through any of the gameplay footage or clips shown off at BlizzConline. Based on the icon here, it appears to be some small explosion or energy field located on the ground. We can see these sort of rotating arrows around the central point which look like they're curving inwards, which at first makes me think of Zarya's Graviton or Orisa's Halt, so maybe this is some sort of Graviton grenade ability that just sort of pulls people in real quickly, but that would seem a bit too similar to Orisa's Halt, so I'm not entirely sure what we're looking at right here. But this brings us now to her ultimate ability, which appears to be a supercharged version of her railgun. Now, it's hard to tell from the images we can see here whether the railgun is actually dealing any more damage than normal during her ultimate, but the one thing we can for sure see happening is that the energy seems to be very rapidly auto-replenishing regardless of whether or not she's dealing damage with her primary fire. The purpose of this ultimate seems to be that it allows Sojourn to fire off her railgun at high charges in very rapid succession, thus potentially allowing her to deal a ton of damage in a very short window of time. Now, one other interesting detail that's worth taking note of when it comes to Sojourn's ultimate is there appears to actually be two different ultimate icons seen across all the shown clips of Sojourn's gameplay. The most commonly featured icon for her ultimate is the one we see here on the left, which appears to be 3 railgun shots being fired out all next to each other, likely indicating her ability to rapid fire her railgun during the ult. The other ultimate icon, though, appears to be 3 arrows all pointing inwards to one central point, and it's a bit harder to determine what exactly this is indicating. It's worth noting that this icon we see on the right only actually shows up in 2 PvE mission gameplay clips. Therefore, it's possible that this icon is different as a result of one of the talents that Sojourn brought on that mission. It's also possible that this was just an earlier iteration of her ultimate icon, as we know that much of the content shown off at BlizzConline is still a work in progress. Therefore, there's no guarantee really even that any of the stuff we see for Sojourn is for sure gonna make it into the final game of Overwatch 2, but based on all these little details we can pick up from her gameplay footage, it appears that this is at the very least her current iteration that Blizzard is working on internally. But that wraps up all the little things you might have missed at BlizzConline. If you haven't seen my other videos talking about all the major content, such as the new PvE enemies and talents and all that stuff, then you can check out those videos, which I've all put together in an Overwatch 2 BlizzConline playlist, and I'll have that linked both down in the description and in the cards on screen. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, hit up that bell icon, and come join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to get some cool rewards like your name at the end of my videos, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master EN Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.